Hello, everyone. This is Ed K. Smith from the Assets Show. I'm here with the host of the show, Mr. Rob K. Hey, Rob.
G'day, Ed.
How are you? And
Great.
we are fortunate to have a special guest on the show today, Mr. Ben Simpson, who is the CEO and head honcho of collectiveshift.io. Ben, how are you, mate?
Good, thanks, Ed. G'day, Rob. Thanks for having me.
G'day, Ben. Thanks for coming on, mate.
Yes, likewise, it was a bit of a short notice request. I've been following Ben and what he's been doing over the last few months, and I thought Ben will be fantastic to get on the show. So we're going to have a bit of a chat about Ben. Who is Ben? What is Collective Shift? And get into some nitty-gritty topics of crypto. And at the time of recording this, crypto and many other assets, let's be clear, not just crypto, stocks, everything else has fallen off that proverbial cliff. But hence, in the downtimes, this is where the opportunities are, in my opinion. And let's get this clear from the start, like we do on every show. This is not financial advice. This is for educational purposes only. Do your own research, seek professional advice. We're not financial advisors. Everything we say on here is just our own opinions and thoughts, and you go and do your own research.
Especially never listen to me, because I'm a gut feeling guy. I just go by my gut. Don't trust my gut, because I barely do.
I'm trying to get rid of my gut, so I don't base anything. I don't base anything on that at all. So okay, so Ben, well, it's your accent isn't always obvious to some of our overseas listeners, because they often get Australians mixed up with Kiwis and things like that. And technically, you were born in Tasmania, so you were technically separated from the mainland, but we love Tasmania, and it's still
you don't need a passport, Ed. You don't need a passport.
You don't need a passport. Yeah, you just get on your dinghy and you row down to Tasmania. Tasmania is on my bucket list of places I haven't gone. It's the only state I haven't been to in Australia. So
me
I've
too.
Go there.
I'm hanging to go there.
Oh, guys,
all right, we'll do that. Yes, let's go. So Ben, give us a bit of a background, because you're obviously you've got the business Collective Shift, which we'll get into the details of that in a second. But what were you doing before you got into this whole crypto space, or have you always been in it since you popped out of the womb? Was it one of your things you just started doing?
I was dollar cost averaging at month one. No, So before crypto, I was running a custom sportswear store. So I was a semi-professional basketball referee for about 7 or 8 years because I couldn't play. So decided to go on the other side of the court and started. But basically, we manufactured sports garments out of China and Pakistan. I started that when I was 15 and basically built that to sort of mid 6-figure levels per year, and hired a couple of my buddies to sort of help me run the business, and got to year 11 and 12 and it was just getting out of control. And I hated school. Wasn't for me. Was trying to figure out how to use Xero and like reconcile my books, and sitting in manual accounting class, doing this paper accounting, and I'm like, dude, like just teach me how to like figure out Xero. Like I don't care about this like paper shit, right? Yeah. And they're like, no, we don't do that here. No. So I was at the back of accounting class doing accounting on Xero while everyone else was trying to do paper accounting. So I was like, right, this is not for me. Convinced my mum and dad to quit
They're
school.
holding you back at that point.
Holding me back. And so convinced mum and dad to let me quit school, which they did, thankfully. And was doing that for a couple of years, and then sort of discovered crypto and Bitcoin and went down the rabbit hole like we all do, and probably spent 6 months trying to wrap my head around it, because, not the smartest sort of tool in the shed, but, I get it. And it took me a little while to get my head around it. Once I did, I was like, oh my God, like this thing is huge. Didn't have any money at the time, still living at home. So I went to the bank, and basically I was 17. No, I must have been 18. 18, I went to the bank and I was like, hey, I want to buy Bitcoin. Will you give me a loan?
Yeah.
My name's Paul. I want to go all in on Bitcoin, but I have no money.
I have no money. You imagine their answer. Basically tell me get stuffed and get out. Right, no worries. Okay. So I went back the next week and I was like, I want to go on a holiday. I want to go to the US. I need some money. Oh, no worries. Here's a 12% interest on a $20,000 loan. Literally 2 days later, I had $20,000 in the account. and or went into crypto within about an hour. So that was like early 2018.
Yeah, but during that hour, your holiday got cancelled, right? So then you're like, I can't go on the holiday.
Yeah, no.
So now I have to invest in crypto. I might as well do something good with the money.
Just to be clear, Ben is not recommending that anyone should go and do this.
Do not do this. I wouldn't recommend it. I had no downside. I was still living at home, had no assets, no nothing. And so basically bought 80% of it with Bitcoin, bought some Ethereum, and bought some other sort of like alts back then.
What year was this?
This was early 2018. So started learning crypto before the 2017, blow up to 20,000, crashed to 3.5.
Yeah.
I sort of bought in around probably 6,000 US, I think, maybe 5,000 or 6,000 US.
Nice.
Before the crash. So I basically bought, and then like a few days after we went down to 3.5. But that was like my first real lesson. Like, okay, this is crypto. Like, this is the
West. And you need that. You need to feel that where your money gets cut in half. I don't think you know how to really make money in crypto until you've been hurt a little bit, right?
It's the tuition fee, we call it. It's the tuition fee to crypto, right? Whether it's a scam or like you lose money or, get phishing scam or whatever it might be. There's always a tuition fee to crypto. Got into crypto, started working at another crypto media company for a few years, and then, started to build Collective Shift. And the idea around Collective Shift was like, this space is so complicated to figure out how the hell you even figure out what's going on here. And by the time you figure out Bitcoin, there's this thing called Ethereum, and then there's Solana, and then there's DeFi and yield farming and NFTs and like all this stuff. And it's just too much. So the idea of Collective Shift was to build a platform where we could help anybody free or paid, depending on like your experience level, and help people get into crypto safely and help them invest. And that's where Collective Shift was born. And we launched that in October 2020. And now we've got sort of 10 or 12 employees. We've got a couple of thousand paying members around the world. We've got probably 10 or 15,000 people on our sort of free tier. And we're really committed to trying to help people get into crypto safely and build their portfolio, because we see so many people make mistakes and following bad advice, whether it be influencers or TikTokers or whatever it might be. There's a lot of crap. So that's what we're trying to do.
That's awesome. Great, Ben. And Ed said we've got to have this guy Ben Simpson on, and that's exactly the kind of guest we want on the Assets Show, because a lot of our audience is interested in maybe hopping into crypto, even though today it looks like it's a red market. Well, not today, but lately. But that as a segue, maybe this is the next few months is the best time to next get into crypto. And again, we're not saying this is the best time. You have to figure it out for yourself. But
so if you're new to crypto, this stuff happens all the time. So we're probably in like at least the 7th or 8th time Bitcoin's retraced more than 50%. Crypto is very young. And with young asset classes, you get really volatile markets. And it also trades 24/7, which a lot of people don't actually realize until they get into crypto. Like, this thing is 24/7, doesn't stop. And there's so many different participants in crypto. One of the biggest is derivative trading, which in no other market can you trade 100x leverage and be sitting in your bedroom as a non-qualified investor. Like, my mum could sign up to FTX tonight and be trading 100x leverage. It is wild. So you get that super like euphoric tops and you get the depressive bottoms. And that's, you get that in the stock market, but crypto is like even higher and even lower because of those tendencies.
Yeah. The volatility is both its advantage and its weakness. But that's where you make the money in the volatile ups and downs.
Totally.
So it's the people who are constantly trying to pick the top and pick the bottom. People who
the day traders. I guess there's two things you can do if you're hopping into crypto. First thing you need to do is watch my and Ed's video from last week, which is how to create a MetaMask wallet. And then you have to figure out, are you going to be a day trader hopping in and out, or are you going to be a holder and wait for the right time? And sometimes you should wait for 3 or 4 or 6 months and then, go in then and then hold for 2 years. Have a plan, because there's that famous saying, hope is not a plan. That's what a lot of day traders do. They're like, boom, I'm hoping it's going to go up. If you're going up more than you're going down, you're a great day trader. Otherwise, you should probably be a holder.
I agree. I think 90 to 95% of people should be investors and should not be traders. I, for one, am not a trader. Way too emotional. I've never tried it. You know, I just know I'd be terrible at it. You need to be like a robot. You need to have no emotion. You need to be like fairly well capitalized, because it's like poker, right? You need to have assets on the sideline. You're going to have to ride the volatility and the probability that you're going to lose. And you need to basically not have friends or family, and you don't need to sleep. That's like a day trader's life.
In a nutshell.
In a nutshell.
Yeah, for most it is not a fun existence, but
I love that. Right. What's a day trader? It's a robot who has no friends or family.
I'm sure there are people that can balance it well, but
I can relate to that, because I've been a day trader, but I'll day trade for like 3 months when I think there's a start of a bull market, basically, where I will turn into a robot and I won't talk to my friends and family, and I'll make money and I'll get up at 2 a.m. and I'll check but I've learned to also then back away for another 3 to 6 months and go venture back out into society for a while.
Yeah. You need to do that.
There were definitely times, Ben, that I thought Rob was dead, because I didn't hear from him for like, months on end. I'm kidding. He wasn't like that at all, but
I was a little bit.
But he was very focused. You were focused. You were very focused.
Also having big wins, but then you get big losses as well. So I highly recommend holding and investing is less stressful.
So you're 100% right. And if you can manage that lifestyle, then that's the game, right? But for most people, I'd say they can't. Most people think they can, but actually can't. And I think that's where you can really get yourself caught. And I've heard a lot of stories from our members, people I know pretty closely, that have lost a lot of money trading. So it's a really difficult space. But if you can, if you're the right character and you think you can win, well, by all means go for it. But I think for most people, starting out with investing is the right place to start. And I'd be recommending Bitcoin and Ethereum before extending into NFTs or like altcoins. Just sort of focus your energy on understanding those two. Because once you understand Bitcoin, for example, you're learning things about, you're questioning, well, what is money? What is decentralization? What do the banks do? Why is interest rates important? What is inflation? What is this $10 note in my wallet? Why is that worth $10? And you sort of go down this rabbit hole, right? So that's where I'd be starting.
Yeah, and also beginning of crypto is understand that what's a blockchain? Because there's more than 15,000 cryptos out there, right? But they're not all blockchains. Like Bitcoin is a blockchain, it's its own network. Ethereum is a blockchain, it's its own network. So is Solana, so is Avalanche. And a lot of these other cryptos are actually what they call layer 2 protocols, which just piggyback the blockchain layer 1 protocol. So there is a little bit of research people should do before they put any money in, right?
Totally agree. I think lack of education is the biggest reason why people lose money. We saw so many people buy back in November when Bitcoin was 60,000 US. It's now 21,000 6 months later. Right. And people are shitting the bed. They go, oh my God, like I put in way too much. I couldn't afford this $100,000 or $10,000. And now it's worth, 40% of what I put in, 50%. Yeah. So I think if you have conviction and you know what you're buying into, like I've been through this for 4 or 5 years now, it's just like, whatever, like I don't care. It's just sort of like, I haven't looked at my portfolio in 6 months. Doesn't matter. The fundamentals of what we bought 5 years ago hasn't changed. It's the same asset, right? It's just the price and the sentiment and the macro, sort of variables that are pushing price down. So you need to educate yourself before buying, in my opinion.
Yeah. And history leaves clues, Ben. This is one of the things Rob and I have talked about many times. Because I'm an older dude, I have seen all this happen with the internet and the .com crash. And everyone is so quick with the FUD to write off everything. And it's, excuse me, we've got a delivery coming, so we'll have to cut that noise out, Rob.
So everyone's... I want to see what you got.
I knew this. I knew it would come right in the middle of me talking, or you talking, Ben, or whatever. Anyway, so as I was saying, it is very easy to look at this whole crypto scenario and the things that have happened over the last months and years, and write off cryptocurrency, blockchain, NFTs, everything, just like people writing off the internet. I'm doing air quotes here for those listening. Back in 2000, when the dot-com crash happened and everyone was going, oh, it's all over, there's nothing going to happen. I mean, that was obviously a load of rubbish, and I never thought it was back then.
Yeah, back then they thought that
times.
video streaming was not going to work and e-commerce was never going to be online, and so it crashed, right?
Yeah, yeah. So these are all parallels. This is just another version of that, in my humble opinion, and everything that we're seeing is going to change. There's going to be different versions of what we're looking at now. Everything is just going through these cycles of getting broken down, built back up again. And I think writing off this whole space is a huge mistake, in my opinion.
Also, what advice would you give to people who have, hopped in for the first time into like Bitcoin or Ethereum in the past 6 months?
Yeah. So one thing I'd say is, like, we look at something like Amazon back in the .com era. Like, what did that retrace? 98%.
90%.
90%.
Yeah.
90%. Now it's probably one of the most valuable companies in the world. So you have these periods of times where the market overextends both up and down. And if you really take price away and you look at the value of, the asset itself, the value and the price are two different things. Right, just because price is doing one thing doesn't mean that it makes the value of the company or the asset any different, right? No. So like if you look at Bitcoin, you look at the amount of users that are using Bitcoin, the amount of transactions that's on Bitcoin, how many people are actually using the network, how strong the mining is, the hash rate, all of these things are up and to the right. And, you look at something like Bitcoin, if you dive a little bit deeper, 65% of the total Bitcoin in supply is held by people that have not sold in more than a year.
Yeah.
So you've got all these, what we call hodlers, the hold up for dear life sort of guys that have so much conviction in this asset that they're not budging. I'm one of them. So it's just the sort of top 30 or 40%, which is rotating traders, retail investors, people that don't really understand it. And you go back 2 years, Bitcoin's up 200% in the last 2 years still. Like Bitcoin was at $3,500, $4,000 2 or 3 years ago, and it's sitting at 21,000. So if you take a step back and look at the wider lens, that's important. Take a step back, get out of the 1 minute candle chart that you're looking at, and with the panic stations, and just look at where we've come from and where we're going. Makes things a lot easier.
No, that's good advice. Good advice.
So anyone that hopped in like in November when it was whatever it was, 50, 60,000. Would we recommend? I mean, we don't recommend anything. You have to do your own research. But I mean, if I was in there at 50 or 60,000, I would be holding, because I believe personally that Bitcoin is going to go to $100,000 US, maybe in 2024. So if I'm right, you have to do your own research. Then if I got in at 50 or 60 and it's down now to 20, in theory, I'd live my life working my day job and just hold that money until it comes back. And in the meantime, I'm sure you'll agree, Ben, in my little example, we would do what's called dollar cost averaging, which is, every month, maybe put a little bit more money in and then ride it back up. And that will bring down your initial investment.
Yeah. So the first thing I'd say for those people that bought, let's say Bitcoin and Ethereum in November, for starters, the asset that you bought hasn't changed. Nothing fundamentally has changed. Like they haven't upgraded to the new iOS and it's a complete shit show. And like, there's nothing like that. Like it's, Bitcoin Ethereum is still Bitcoin Ethereum. And if anything, more people are using it. So that's like number one. Number two is you can sell and take a 50% loss and then you're out of the market. There's no coming back at that point.
Yeah.
Option three is you hold and you just, forget about it and come back in a few years and, more likely than not, it will be back, or if not above where it was. Or option four, like you said, Rob, is actually dollar cost average. Let's say your first Bitcoin was 60,000. You can now buy your second for 20,000, US dollars. So if you buy your second, now your average price is, whatever that is, $40,000 or $45,000. So, you can lower your overall purchase price by buying more now at a cheaper rate. And I think that's a strategy that we sort of teach people when, you might have a a higher buy price in the market. If you've got capital on the sidelines, you can dollar cost average. You can bring that overall average price down. So when the market returns, it's going to, bring you back up to speed faster than what it would be if you didn't put any more money in. Yeah. The other one I'd say, if you bought altcoins in November, that's a bit of a different story because you're like probably well and truly being hit in the face by a truck. That's like, first of all, welcome to crypto. That's like, it's tough, but like this.
You get a free T-shirt when you lose 99% of your altcoin.
Yeah. That's like when the old days. That's like the old days when the babies were born. They'd hang them upside down by their legs and smack them on the ass to wake them up. Well, that's your baby smack on the ass, wake up people.
And like, even for me, I made a trade back in November on a altcoin that I liked, that we like, that is just gone awfully in the market. Like, it's down 90%. So you're looking at your $20,000 investment, it's worth $1,000. It's like, well, shit, no worries. So you've got a couple options. One is it's the same options we just said. We can hold. Yeah. There's other strategies as well that you can, like, if you've made a lot of money in crypto, you can also take a loss on some of those altcoins and offset your gains from a tax perspective. That's one strategy. Yeah. One strategy is to just rotate back into like Ethereum or something like that, and just like rotate into some more blue chip assets. There's a lot of things you can do. One thing I would recommend is just not panic. Don't do something emotionally. Yeah. Go for a walk. Breathe. The world's not, you're going to die. Yeah.
And all these lessons add up. So even though you might have some losses initially, you're meant to learn so that next time you'll figure out your own strategy for when you should go in. And some people figure out maybe just save some money for 6 months or a year or even 2 years and wait for the next mega dump, which is kind of what we're in now. Imagine if none of us three had dabbled in crypto and we'd just saved all our money for 2 years and gone in like now or in a month or two's time. But hindsight's a beautiful thing. But this is what you can do. If you're new to crypto and you're a person who can get stressed out with investing and stuff, maybe now watch it for a year or two and then try and find the next big dump and then go in. But you have to do that on your own.
And bear markets, which we're in now, this is like an accumulation phase. If you zoom out and look at like a Wall Street chart, you sort of have the run off top, the FOMO, everyone's going, holy shit, we're going to be millionaires. And then it sort of falls off. Then you have this little rally, then a drop back, and then you have this accumulation phase, which is sort of this boring, slow, downwards sort of market. And that's where we're heading into now, if not already in. So accumulating during this phase is a great idea, because you can start to build those assets up. And the bear market doesn't like V-shaped recovery. It's not going to hit like 15,000 and go back to 60. Like, it usually is a U shape. It's going to like scrape along the bottom, be super boring. Yeah. Everyone's going to be like, this is so boring, like throwing the towel. That's the time to be buying. And over the next sort of 6, 12, 18 months, things will start to recover, and hopefully you've got some crypto to show for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, cool.
I've got a few questions. Ben, I noticed that you've been going to a few crypto conventions.
I have.
Over the past, year?
Been waving the Tassie flag around the US last couple of months. I just got home a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, great. Ed and I haven't been able to venture out yet to these things. I want to start getting out to them. What's the feeling like when you go to one of these? Didn't you go to, was it Miami?
Yeah. So the first one I went to was Bitcoin Miami, which was crazy. It was 25,000 mad Bitcoiners at this 3-day event in the heart of Miami. And it was wild. I've never been to the US before. It's the first time I arrived there.
Man, that would have been great.
Oh, okay. Baptism of fire in Miami, mate.
It was 3-wheeled cars driving around. There's like women twerking off the back of cars. There's people smoking weed because it's legal over there. It's just like, it's crazy.
Wow.
It just sort of hits you in the face.
Yeah.
And then the conference was wild. For starters, you weren't allowed to talk about anything else. Like Bitcoin maximalist to like, there's no Ethereum, no NFTs. It was like you're going to get thrown out if you sort of spoke about anything else. Like no speakers, no nothing. It was like Bitcoin only.
Wow.
That's serious.
It was just a lot of money. It was a lot of VC capital. It was a lot of showing off. It was a lot of parties, like events. It was just a big party. Like, I don't know how else to sort of explain it.
Yeah.
The last day, there was a Bitcoin festival where they had like Steve Aoki, like they had some big name DJs, and there was just thousands of people all there at this Bitcoin conference at a music festival on the last day. Like, it was nothing like I've ever seen in crypto. Like, it was actually insane.
Was Bitcoin still doing all right then as well?
Yeah, this was in April, so Bitcoin was doing okay. We're seeing like mid 30,000 US.
Yeah, it was about that. Yeah.
So it wasn't bullish, but it wasn't bearish. It was sort of like a neutral market.
Yeah.
But it just showed me the amount of money that's pouring into this space. VC capital, people. It's extraordinary.
Yeah.
That's why if people think now, because of this major dump, which is a worldwide dump, not just in cryptocurrency, of course, it's not going anywhere. It's just regrouping, so to speak. It's too late, right? The train's left the station in terms of cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. It's not going to stop.
Away. It's not going away. It's going to be ubiquitous in a short space of time that people don't realize. Hey, so Ben, okay, I know at the Bitcoin 2022 Miami conference, you weren't allowed to talk about anything else other than Bitcoin, but on this show, we can talk about whatever we like. And one of the things that we like to talk about, and I like to talk about, is NFTs. Nice. Now, I know the other conference you went to, which I wanted to go to, but again, didn't, was VCon 2022, which is Gary Vaynerchuk's conference, which I was watching all your videos of you going there and everybody else's videos, because I've been following Gary since like Wine Library days. So
good old days,
yeah. So and I'm doing some stuff with them at the moment. Like I've got, I picked up vfriends.com.au and vcon.com.au for them, not for me, just to be clear. Yeah. And I've been talking to Avery in charge of that sort of stuff and sorting that out. So they've got it locked away in Australia. But I'm also a VFriends holder. I own a few Series 2.
Yep.
Now, for those who are watching who don't know what we're talking about, you've got to go and do your research. But back in August, Gary released something called Book Friends, which is a token that gives you access to lots of other different things that he's putting out in the future. And I thought I hadn't bought any NFTs at this stage. So this was August 2021. And I thought, I'll just buy. And you had to buy his books. He had a new book out. And you had to, for every 12 books you bought, you got a token, a Book Friends token. And I just bought 12 books. So I'm just going to have a poke and see what happens. So
genius marketing. Genius.
Oh, yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. So I got one token. And out of that one token, I managed to get 2 minted VFriend 2s from one token. Awesome. And I saw poor people in the Discord who had, they weren't poor people. They bought like, 20, 50, 100. And I got more than them. And I just had one. It really was down to the luck of the draw whether you got selected to go into the mint and stuff, but it's a whole other story. So that's the backstory on that. But how was VCon? It seemed like it was an awesome event.
It was awesome. Yeah, I followed Gary for a little while, not Wine Library days, but listen to his podcast all the time. Huge fan, business, marketing, just think he's awesome. So I was the same. I bought 12 of his books a little while ago, Ed, and got the book token as well, and got a VFriends 2. Missed out on VFriends 1, was asleep at the wheel, missed that one. But it was awesome. I think the way he set it up was very Web3. He had a lot of different sort of rooms. It was in Minneapolis. So you had you got the Minneapolis NFL stadium, like hide out the whole stadium. And it was awesome. Snoop Dogg spoke, had a lot of celebrities that, he's obviously well connected with.
Yeah, and Pharrell and others.
Yeah, it's just like a lot of celebrities, a lot of NFT collectors. It was nice, a really good community feel. I think NFTs, the technology of NFTs is super exciting. I think there's a lot of shit, which was sort of confirmed at the event. There's a lot of crap collections. But the idea of the NFT, the idea of the NFT like smart contracts, I think is going to be here to stay. I don't think it's going to be like the ICO boom in 2017. Like, name me one ICO that's sort of still around these days that's sort of well known. Like, there isn't. I think the idea of like the NFT is going to be long term, and what Gary's doing with his sort of VCon, VFriends, it's a sight to be hold. He's a
you know what he's doing, and listening to you guys just talk about VFriends. This is what people don't get about NFTs. For people that just don't get it, you're talking about a club. So NFTs are the new club. But you guys are in the V Friends club, right? I'm not, so I feel like a bit of an outsider, but I'm in a different NFT club.
Yeah.
And that's what NFTs are. Like, there's people that are in the Bored Ape Monkey JPEG picture club.
Yeah.
Like, they're in that club together.
Did you notice Rob taking a poke?
There was a little jab in there, wasn't there?
You're jealous because you don't own one. You have to poke at it.
Yeah.
So with that, I definitely agree, Rob. Like the in real life aspect for me is the community. So I own a Moonbirds, and we were in Palm Beach at Permissionless, and I didn't know anyone in Palm Beach, like, you know, coming from Tassie, so like knew nobody. But there was a Moonbirds meetup, and for those who don't know what Moonbirds is, it's just another collection. This sort of like ranges right now. I think it's like 17 ETH floor, so you're probably talking like a $20,000 US sort of maybe minimum to get into this Moonbirds collection. And you basically are in this community. So there was this lunch that was held, and walked in there, and there was like 7 people that I've never met before. There was 3 Bored Ape owners. There was 2 different crypto funds. There was the chief of staff at a very well-known crypto company that we've all heard there, big financial institutions. There was like some big names there, and you just rolled up and it's like, you're having beers, you're having lunch, you're all friends. Like that is the power of like community NFTs. Like not, I own a JPEG, you know, that's not, it's not the point.
Absolutely. One of our mates has been on this podcast, Shane Cultra. He is a owner of one of the original 1000 proof collectives that was launched, which you would know about. And he paid a lot of money to get into that, but he said it was worth it just for the network access alone. And Kevin Rose, who is the co-founder of Moonbirds, who we're trying to get on this podcast. Kevin Rose, I'm looking at you right in the camera. Kevin, please, Kevin, please come on the podcast. We'd love to have you on to talk about Moonbirds and other things. That's a bit of a, send it out there, people. Anyone who has a good connection with Kevin Rose.
And I will say, so I'm going to New York on Friday for the NFT NYC, and I'm going to the Moonbirds event, the Proof Collective event where Kevin will be. So,
well, Ben,
I'll drop him a line, mate.
I'll stream live from your phone and we'll just go for it.
I've sent him messages. I've sent him messages on Twitter. I haven't heard back from him. So if you can just say, look, there's these 2 mad Australian dudes who would love to...
And we're streaming live right now when you walk up to him.
He's someone, again, I've been following him for 20 years. So since he was a baby. But yeah, Moonbirds is fantastic, and well done for getting one. Again, that was one that I just like. I heard of Moonbirds after it was too late. It was never too late to hear about something, because you get in at a certain stage and there's different advantages other than just the making money on the NFT. But I think the thing with NFTs that the majority of people I speak to don't get is that it is not just about a picture, and it's not just about a JPEG. It's not just about a profile picture. It's the underlying technology, as Ben said, with the smart contracts, is the thing that is going to completely and utterly be a part of everyone's life. They don't know it yet. It's like they didn't know the internet was going to be part of their daily life. The technology of NFTs. So
absolutely,
don't discount it because of pictures of monkeys and pixelated.
I give it a fun dig, but I think the whole NFT community and the utilities behind NFTs is great.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yep.
Totally
so Ben, am I correct in saying you're moving to live in the US? Are you going to live there or not?
I'm going like nomad style. So I'm going to be sort of traveling across the US, you know, basically wherever. So we originally had an office in Brunswick in Melbourne where I was based. And then COVID hit and we're like, we don't need to be paying $7,000 a month in rent. Like that doesn't make any sense. And we had some employees over in the US, some in London, Perth, Melbourne, Tassie. It was like, we can't even be in the same place at the same time anyway. So got rid of our office and now we're fully remote, and it just allows, you know how crypto is, it just allows us to work wherever. And
man,
I don't have any kids or a mortgage or anything like that. So I'm pretty lucky to be able to just travel around, and crypto is huge in the US. So there's 60 million people in the US own digital assets, and there's 2 million in Australia. It is huge. Like you go to the US and they're like Australia, what? Like where? Basically, like on the crypto map, it's just not even on the radar.
Well, what you've just done, Ben, is you've me and Ed want to live through you, so we're going to be following you around the US, and we're going to try and get you on this show to give updates.
Yeah, we can do one when I'm over there.
We'll live vicariously through Ben and his, and we're going to post his daily travels on LinkedIn and on Twitter. And instead of playing Where's Wally, we'll play Where's Ben?
Where's Ben?
Where's Ben? And look, he's here. He's in the middle of America. Let's follow his journey. So that's going to be fun. And you think we're kidding, Ben? But no, we're not. We take this stuff very seriously. So that's
because you might be able to give us some hot tips as well, because you'll be on the ground and you might be able to hear about some stuff.
Think about these conferences I wasn't a conference junkie. I'm was pretty introverted until you sort of go to conferences. You sort of have to get out of your skin a little bit. Is that the magic doesn't happen in the conference. I actually don't have a ticket to the NFT NYC. I don't think I'm actually going. I've got chockers, events, dinners, lunches, drinks, all around 100.
Yeah, see, over the years, I've gone to the Las Vegas domain or NamesCon, which is the domain conference. For many years, I went to that, and you're right. The conference was okay, but it was all the wheelings and dealings and networking at the after drinks and the dinners and stuff like that. I agree. That's worth it in itself. Even if you don't go to the conference, you're hanging out in the club, with like-minded people.
So there's over 100 satellite events around the outside of a 4-day conference in New York. So the Bored Ape Yacht Club, the biggest NFT in the world, which you guys know, are holding their Ape Fest. They have an Ape Fest night each night. And this is a huge, I think I heard it's 1 hectare of roof space or some space in New York, in Manhattan. I don't even know how that works as Manhattan. And our senior research analyst at Collective Shift, Nathan, who lives in California, owns a Bored Ape. So you can get a +1. So he's luckily been able to win a raffle. So we're both going to 2 Ape Fest nights next week in New York.
Wow.
There's only 2,000 tickets each night of these events. There's however many Bored Apes there are.
Wow.
So it's going to be wild. I'm so grateful, so lucky to be able to even be in the room with probably
that
some
will be cool.
Smartest people in crypto. So I have to report back, guys. We have to maybe do another episode.
Please, yeah.
Oh no, yeah, absolutely. We'll have you back on for an update, 100%. Because look, this is the sort of stuff. This is pioneering stuff. And while there are plenty of people out there writing it all off now, the gleeful FUD journalists are all out there, trying to dig the hole and put the coffin in for this whole space. It's just not gonna happen. There's the synergy of what's happening now with everyone out there, and you feel it. And when you go to these conferences like Ben's doing, this is when you really, really know that outside of what you're seeing in the sort of small screen of what you're reading on Twitter and various things, you really get to put your finger on the pulse of what the community is doing and driving. And so it's huge. It's a very exciting thing. Rob, more questions, mate, before we have to let Ben go back to doing some actual work.
Do you know what? Why don't we all give our own personal 2 cents, not financial advice, of where we see crypto now and where we see it in 12 months' time? Who wants to go first?
Okay, so I think right now it is a bloodbath, and that's the reality of it. There's no doubt about it. We've got macro headwinds that are very difficult to get out of. We've got 40-year high inflation. We've got the Fed raising interest rates. We've got a war. We've got so much macro pressure on crypto, and we're so correlated to the tech stocks, which is going to be hard to get out of that. We've also got things like, a few weeks ago with the Terra Luna event, which completely blew up and was selling off Bitcoin like nothing else. We've got Celsius that's potentially going to go under, then pause withdrawals. There's so much shit going on right now that is not bullshit.
It's a mass cleansing, right?
Yeah, it is ugly. And I don't foresee us coming out of this little phase for at least 6 months. I think it's going to be pretty choppy. So I think 12 months from now, as bearish as it is, we could be not much higher than where we are now. I think we could be ranging between sort of 20,000, 35,000 for maybe another 12 months. I don't think we're going to see that much. I really do think it's an accumulation phase for this little while, especially if we go into a recession. Like, I think it just, it seems pretty doom and gloom. So great time to be accumulating. I think I want to be in 12 months time with a lot more Bitcoin and ETH, probably not, dollar value higher, but I've got more, I've got more stacked in my ledger. And then, ready for the next halving in the next, in 2 years time. That's what I'm looking at.
I can relate to what you just said. Actually, I'd agree with it all. I mean, what is it? It's April 24 is the next halving, and if we look at the previous halvings, that always seems to be pretty much near a bottom at the time, and it generally only goes up after that point. I'd say, I'm just looking over here. I've got a little whiteboard over here that I always have during the show.
Before, sorry to interrupt you, mate. Before you read what you've got on the whiteboard, can we just explain what the halving is? Because it sort of sounds like some sort of cultish event. The Bitcoin halving.
We all paint our faces and
what the heck is the Bitcoin halving? Who wants to have a crack at explaining what that
Ben
is?
Okay, so Ben. So there's 21 million Bitcoin ever going to be created. It's a fixed supply. It's not like the US dollar where they just keep printing more and more. Like, there's only going to be 21 million ever made. Right now, there's 19 million that have been in production. And over the next 100 years, the final 2 million will be produced. And the amount that's produced is calculated by the code of Bitcoin. Like, Bitcoin, basically, determines how much Bitcoin's produced each day. And the amount that's produced each day halves, called the halving, every 4 years. So basically, at the supply, the amount of Bitcoin that's produced decreases as time goes on. So natural supply and demand means that as supply decreases, but demand increases, as more people use the network and more people understand what Bitcoin is, theoretically, the price goes up. And that's why around usually either 6 months, either side of the halving, is when the media come back, retail start to get interested again. There's this whole narrative around the halving, and that's where we usually get price increase. So,
and at the halving, so Bitcoin transactions are approved by proof of work Bitcoin miners, right?
Correct. Proof of work. Yep.
So at the halving, doesn't their mining rewards halve? That's technically why it's called a halving, right?
Yeah, correct. The miners also reduce half. Yeah, because they're producing less.
So yeah, the next halving's coming up. I mean, honestly, if you've got a basic TradingView account or whichever crypto trading software platform you use, go and look at the previous halvings. Like, zoom out, do your own research on this stuff. I'm pretty confident that, I mean, this is, don't listen to me. I told you I follow my gut, right? And it's not a good idea to follow me. But in terms of my own 2 cents, I see March next year still being around, 20 to 25,000 Bitcoin, if not a bit lower. So if that's the case, we've got time to personally to every week or every couple of weeks to go into what you think is going to work out in the long run. If I'm right about March next year still being between 18 and 25K Bitcoin, imagine what the altcoins are doing. They're just going to be simmering along pretty low, you'd think. I don't see an alt season coming during that time.
No.
And then, I'm still thinking April 24 at the next halving is when it's going to start cranking up. I could be wrong. So I'm basically just trying to get in over the next 6 months to 12 months before the next halving. And you should also do some research on staking. So if I'm getting into something like, meanwhile, I'm not really into Bitcoin and Ethereum myself. I respect the blockchains. I'm into some of the newer stuff, like newer blockchains like Avalanche, for example. I'm pretty big on Avalanche. So there's, as an example, you do your own research on whatever you want to hop into. But with Avalanche, whenever I hop into Avalanche, I go to a place called first of all, in MetaMask, you have to set up the Avalanche network. And then I go to TraderJoeXYZ.com, which is like their Uniswap market. And I won't go into all that now. We'll do this on another video. But basically, I can buy another crypto called Joe, and then I can hop into a pool where I'm pooling my Avalanche with Joe, and it's making me daily free Joe, which is another cryptocurrency that's going up in the Avalanche ecosystem. You've got to do your own research and figure out what you want to go into. But if you're going into this stuff for a year or two, why not research how to stake, which means your crypto makes more of itself as time goes on.
Bit like a term deposit for the old banker people who used to put their money in those bank things. It's sort of like a term deposit. You say, look, hold on to my crypto and leverage it, and then I'll get an interest return on the crypto that you're holding, because that means you can't sell it, so you can't trade it. You got to leave it with them. That's my layman's analogy. Rob, is that sort of close?
Yeah. I'm no expert at it. We've all got our favorite things, right? You can even stake Bitcoin and Ethereum, can't you, Ben? Like, there's platforms out there like, I don't recommend this company, but an example is BlockFi.com, where they pay you, it's like 7% interest on your Bitcoin if you leave it with them.
Yeah, so I'm in two minds about this stuff, because one issue that there is in sort of staking a crypto for me is that you're giving your asset basically to, a blockchain. To basically what staking is you're giving your assets to help them secure the network, and then you get rewarded for it. But
it is risky.
There is inherent risk. So I think it's okay if you're willing to lose that money, and it's not like everything. What I have seen people do is put everything in a platform like Celsius, and Celsius 3 months ago was very blue chip, very, like above board, and not above board, but it was very trustworthy, right?
Yeah.
3 months on, Celsius 3 days ago have disabled withdrawals. You cannot withdraw your crypto out of there because they are like in fear of basically going under.
So they're holding. The whole point of crypto is you're supposed to be the holder of your money and getting rid of the bank middleman. Yeah. But as you've just pointed out, if whoever's put their money in Celsius has now, they're holding it like a bank, and they're not letting you have your own crypto.
Correct. And the Celsius token, so say you put Bitcoin in there, you could earn rewards back through their Celsius token. So let's say, okay, you sat in there and you earned $10,000 worth of Celsius rewards over a year. But guess what? The Celsius token's down 95%. So you've now lost all of those rewards because the token you were earning those rewards in is gone down. So it's like a term deposit, but you're not getting Australian dollars. You're getting this super volatile, risky token back that may or may not be going upwards. So it's like a double. I don't do it personally just because there's so much risk involved. And I love to just sit my ledger in my home and, know it's nice and comfy. That one there.
Ledger. Yeah.
So I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying, I think be comfortable with the amount that you're, you've got elsewhere.
Yeah. Do your own research, beware of the risks. And I mean, people thought Luna and Terra UST was safe as well. People had their life savings in that, and it went down 99.9. It was something crazy percent. It went from 80. Well, I mean, it went from the peg, the $1 US peg just broke. We did a few things on this on the blogs. But I mean, Luna the token went from $85 down to a cent.
It went less than that. It's like
laugh about it. It's nuts.
Yeah.
So look, one of the things that we're obviously trying to do in this show, with having people like Ben on, is to educate the market and try and help people who are getting into this space, or they may even be sort of down the path already a little bit, to not have too much pain. I still believe the only way you really learn is to actually go through it, in my opinion. But if you can learn from the mistakes of others, why wouldn't you? If you've got some people that have had, a combined experience and saying, this is something you should look at, this is something you should probably avoid, then why the heck would you go, oh no, I think I'm just going to go and stick my hand on the fire just to see if they're telling the truth? Well, you know, it's pretty stupid. The fire's hot, people. Be careful, you'll burn your hands. But I'm terrible with these analogies. Anyway, so
crypto is fire. Be careful.
Yeah, it is fire.
It's going to happen.
That's it. Yeah, it's pretty much it. I've summed it up. We scrubbed the rest of the podcast. We'll just have that bit. So collective shift. Who is your ideal person to come along and start using collective shift? We're not sponsored by Ben, just to be clear. We're not paid any rewards or nothing. This is just, we think what Ben's doing is great and we want to learn more.
You guys just want to be in Tasmanian. That's the only reason.
Yeah, it's like Ben is the original Tasmanian devil. So yeah.
If you go to our website collectiveshift.io, under resources, we have so much free resources and education. We have over 100 free resources, like how-to guides. What is this? What is that? How to do a like what is MetaMask? How to set it up?
Right.
How to set up a ledger? What is DeFi? What is money? We've got everything. We've got a beginner's course,
you've got a lot. Yep.
Newsletter. We've got our 7 crypto commandments. Like we have like this internal, crypto investing Bible. It's like 7 commandments that we live by. We've got so much free stuff. So if you're new to crypto, I recommend checking that out. You don't need to give us an email. You don't need to do anything. Like it's literally, just go over there and check that out. Then we have some tiers of different memberships if you're getting a bit more serious. And one of the core features that we have is this thing called our investments. So they're basically copy portfolios. So we can show you what we're doing with our capital, our investments across different strategies within crypto. So for example, we have an NFT portfolio and we show you every single NFT we've bought and why, with all the valuations behind it, with our analysts doing the work. So we've got a team of 4 full-time research analysts that do fundamental analysis, sentiment, on-chain, community, valuations, revenue project. We do everything and we simplify it all and we show exactly what we're doing and why, and fully transparent. So we're not like an influencer that'll say one thing and then forget the 9 bad investments and promote the one that he got right. Win, lose or draw, we've got everything transparent on our portfolio. Everything's on chain. So you can see it in our Binance account or our MetaMask, not our MetaMask, our Etherscan address. You see it all. So we've got an NFT portfolio, a long-term growth portfolio. So we've got our top 10 blue chip assets that we think we can beat Bitcoin over a 4-year period. And we've got an early stage, sort of more micro cap, higher risk portfolio as well. And then and then a really newbie beginner portfolio, which is Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Oh, great.
So that's like the core feature. Then we've got like Discord community. We've got, asset screeners. So we've got bullish and bearish opinions on over 50 different crypto assets. So if you're like, oh, should I buy Aave or should I buy synthetics? We've got a full asset page on over 50 different assets. So you can help yourself learn about these investments. We're all about helping you learn quickly rather than going down the rabbit hole of Twitter and YouTube and TikTok and Discords and all this sort of stuff and just being completely overwhelmed. We're trying to bring everything in one place to get you up to speed in a fast amount of time.
What a resource.
Yeah, it's great.
Again, this can save a lot of pain and hassle for people. If they're not lazy, like the majority of people who don't want to read this stuff and just don't, So the 80-20 rule applies. 20% will take heed and read all this stuff and apply it, and then the rest will probably just go, oh no, let's go and see how much I can lose. So you can't help everybody, but I think what you've put down there, Ben, is fantastic. And I'm looking at the site now. So head over to collectiveshift.io or .com.au if you're in Australia and you like our .com.au extension more than the .io, which we, of course, Rob and I do, because it's the best extension in the world, and I don't care what anybody says. So I would go and have a look at it. It's a fantastic thing that Ben and his team have got set up, and we're going to follow Ben around America.
We are now.
We're going to play Where's Ben?
Where's Ben?
And Where's Ben? And we'll get Ben to hold up some weird signs. No, we won't. Okay, so anything else for Ben before we finish up, Rob?
I think we need to save some stuff for, unless you wanted to mention your plan. Do you agree with what Ben and I were saying before about the next 12 months?
Oh, yeah, because I didn't actually say anything, did I? Yeah. No. Well, how can I follow up from that because being the last person to talk, there's really nothing left to say other than yes and yes. And I didn't disagree with anything you said. Have I got anything of value to add? No.
Well, I was hoping you'd say, Rob and Ben, I don't agree with you guys. I actually think we're still in a bull market. And we're about
BS. Complete BS. We're on 100K tomorrow.
Yeah, well, that would then make me look like a complete dickhead. So, because that is obviously not true. But no, everything you guys said, I've been thinking, and so there's nothing more of value for me to say. So all good.
Okay, well, I can't wait to have you on next time, Ben. And I'm jealous about your American travels, and have the best time, mate. It sounds like I'd do the same thing if I was in your shoes.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Very lucky to be in my position, just with no really strings attached at this point. So going to make the most of
hard.
it.
Great.
Thanks for having me, though, fellas. That was good fun. We'll have to catch up for a beer when we're all in person as well.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. I have a feeling we will all be in the same room at some point, raising hell. So
come down to Tassie. I'll show you around.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you'll regret saying that, but yes, absolutely. You'll hear a knock on the door, and it'll be these two dudes stand there. Hello. All right. So look, thank you everyone for watching and listening to the Assets Show. If you haven't already subscribed, and click that lovely like and notification bell, we greatly appreciate it. It helps us with the old YouTube algorithm, as everyone keeps telling you, which if you don't know it by now, you haven't been watching enough YouTube videos. So thanks, Ben. Appreciate your time, mate. And good luck in America. Hope it goes well. Thanks, Rob. And we'll see you all on the next episode of the Assets Show. Bye for now.